Did you speak with Bob Iger during that time or no?
No, I haven't spoken with him in years.
Have you ever had an interaction with him?
Yeah.
How is he?
He was always great. He was
That's
always
what I
great
hear about
years
him.
ago, and I think he's brilliant in so many ways, obviously quite successful, and he's done a pretty good job, I think, the last several years have not been great, and there have been specific decisions that, I mean, he's the CEO, that he has made that all of the employees must comply with, even if you don't agree. And I know many managers who didn't agree with a lot of the things that we were told to do. But when you choose, listen, you're the ultimate businessman, and when you pick a side in business, like to me, Michael Jordan said it. Republicans buy sneakers too. Don't you want everyone watching your programming? Why are we dividing? Why are we choosing to only report certain things? And that's where, I mean, I struggled for years, and then it builds to a certain point, and then you can't be quiet, especially when you know, like as a parent, this was bigger than just me. I have these 3 kids who are older. They're not like 6, 8 years old. That's different when they're babies. You can shield them, but they're watching me preach to them to stand up, and then I go silent. So I don't know what everyone's line is. It's a very personal decision, especially when finances are involved in jobs and cancellation, right? I am the poster child for why people should stay quiet.
With Bob Iger.
But not anymore. Yeah. I'm sorry, Iger.
With Bob Iger, is it when you saw him making some decisions for Disney that made no sense? So he has a ride of a lifetime. Incredible. Crushes it. Read the book. Great story. At one point he wanted to run for president. He's doing the deal with Murdoch, and they're asking him the question, are you going to run for president? No, but he says he was thinking about it. He was going to run for office. His family has, politically, they've been on the left, and he always wanted to kind of possibly one day run. Anyways, do you think some of the decisions that was made at Disney, was it more him, or was it more Chapek, or was it more the board? Who was it? Or was it maybe even Kathleen?
You mean during that time?
During the woke, Disney went from being Disney, we all watch Disney, they go to valuation-wise, I think at one point peak is $360 billion. They're at 180 right now, give or take.
At 180.
180. They dropped from, we can see exactly, so I want to give the number correctly, what's their market cap today? 215 today. Can you go to the history of their market? They went from 380, 360 to 215. So, but from the person, or you may even say, I'm not on the inside, but when you guys talk to one another, when Bob left, was it Chapek, or was Bob still running it? Was it the board? What do you think it was?
Well, to me, the timing is fascinating because Bob Iger, if you recall, suddenly stepped away. It was like February of 2020. Mm-hmm. When did the pandemic hit?
March
2020.
He's a smart man. I think there's a lot of obvious ties with Disney and China. Literally, this is just my random opinion. I just don't think it was a coincidence that the timing for him to suddenly retire and then the pandemic hits. And then he appoints Bob Chapek, who'd been one of his right-hand men for years and years. I mean, 20 plus 30 years maybe, to run everything. Bob Iger never went away. I mean, he was still even tweeting without a lot of things about Disney, et cetera. I believe he was on the board. So if you're on a board, there's a lot of decisions that are being made, right? I mean, it isn't just the CEO. He has to get the board approval. And if he's on that board, for example, what was happening in Florida and the decision, I believe, again, this is my recollection, that that Chapek initially was against going against the state of Florida and this Don't Say Gay thing and Ron DeSantis. I know that he was more about not mixing politics with business, just as the ESPN newer president, Jimmy Pitaro, was as well. And then everything went nuts and, they had no choice, seemingly. And maybe that was, again, above the ESPN president, but that came from Disney. But when the former CEO, the longtime CEO, brilliant CEO, who's had a ton of success, is still on the board, while all this is going on. And all of a sudden they go from, we're not going to touch Florida to, now we're going to crush Florida. And then, I mean, you're in the middle of a pandemic. Chapek, how would you like to take over that kind of a company during that time? No one wants to, right? Then we get out of the pandemic, things start to turn up, and all of a sudden Chapek's out and Bob's back in. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, listen, there's a part of me that's it's almost scary to talk about, to be honest with you. But just from not even an outsider's perspective, when you look at the timeline, I think that there's some questions to be asked. Chapek's gone. I don't know that was a great departure from what I read, and Bob's back in to the rescue. Is it being rescued right now? I don't know. There have been some decisions along the way, especially just with programming. When my kids were little, the Disney Channel was like the place to go where it was innocence. And
safe.
Yeah, safe. And just so many beautiful memories from when we were kids, And now I have so many people who come up to me and say, what the hell has happened and why it wasn't necessary. Just like Michael Jordan said, just like with anything, I want everybody to buy my product, not just one side.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.